But you also are going to talk about Jesus being the light of the world.
And in Jesus' light. Light is a huge image in the Bible.
When you think about living in the first century, they knew dark.
There was no electricity.
There's no electricity. So unless you had a nice full moon, it was dark.
Yeah.
And so you think about how difficult it is to navigate in the dark and how frightening it is to be in the dark, how you can't see what's right in front of you. And I love the fact that you call us to look at the blind man, which he heals in John chapter 9. So light of the world is in John chapter 8. The healing of the blind man's in John chapter 9, which again, John's making sure we see this connection. Yeah, seeing the connection there. Because what's fascinating is the Pharisees are so ridiculous about the healing of this blind man. Please read this story. It's in your Engage God Daily this week. But they're so ridiculous about it. They just will not believe that this man was healed. And then when they finally are convinced that, okay, well, they go to his parents and they're like, was he really blind? They're like, yes, he was. And then they want to believe Jesus did it by demonic power somehow. And Jesus just calls them on it and says, you are the blind ones. And so there is a real sense in that same passage is where we get the one in John chapter 8 is where we get the famous, and you shall know the truth and the truth shall set you free. So there is this sense of light being able to illuminate reality and truth before you. And Jesus provides that for us.
That's right. That's right. And he calls us to follow his light wherever he leads us, and it'll be good.
I noticed that in your sermon, you're going to quote one of my favorite C.S. Lewis quotes.
Oh, okay.
So you have to share it now. Because I was going to share it and I was like, oh, Bruce is already going to do it.
But I'm not sure I'm going to put it in the sermon.
Oh, well, then you can share it now and then people can benefit from it.
I'm debating.
Oh, I think you should. You guys can vote.
And I do have it in my sermon notes and I'm deciding whether I put it in the sermon or not for Sunday. So here it is. C.S. Lewis says, I believe in Christianity as I believe that the sun is risen, not only because I see it, but because by it, I see everything else.
Yeah. So I love that because I think that's so, obviously Lewis is thinking about all the light imagery in the Bible and probably in John as well, that when we're talking about, we invite people to see Jesus and we invite people to believe in Jesus, but that belief is not just looking directly into the sun. It's also having that illumination that will illuminate every other part of your life.
Yeah, he's the light through which and by which we see everything else clearly.
So he illuminates things. And so once you see clearly the gospel, you see who Jesus is, all of a sudden, all these other things in your life, all these other things in the world, you see in light of that. And a lot of it makes a lot more sense.
That's right.
At least it does to me. It explains a lot of things.
It does.
And it also explains and gives hope for what's to come.
That's right.